All right, it's about that time. Thank you guys all for joining us today. We don't have a huge agenda, but we do have a lot of exciting things going on. So we're going to start with some local updates, which include some invitations. So Cindy, I know you are joining us quickly, so I'm hoping you can share about the mid-level managers
Sure.
training.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. So the past 3 years, we have the Gold Standard Group and the county have partnered together to put on the mid-level management training series. It's a training series that we truly believe in because it's really hitting that mid-level managers, those supervisors of the DSPs, who lots of times kind of fall by the wayside, I think, and because they're working shifts and at the same time they're trying to supervise, right? We all know that their plate is very full. So we're trying to take some time to focus on them and to be able to support them. So this training series again is going to be in September, October, and November. The dates are September 1st, October 6th, and November 3rd. It's just a 2 hour training. It's not all day. We're just asking folks is from 10 to noon. Because of the shift of obviously where the county is located before we would be at Kingsley, this time just for easy access, Ohio Valley has graciously offered to host the training. So that way it'll be easy to get to and to get in and out. The set of 3 trainings that we're doing this time is really focusing on the the changes between leadership and managers and building resilience within the supervisors, helping them to have long-term success as supervisors. Lots of times we find that um, I think all of us as leaders of agencies understand you promote some of the best DSPs and then they get into that supervisory role and all of a sudden they're just not really sure what to do, right? So part of this 3 series is how do we cultivate them? How do we support them and give them those different techniques? The best way to think of it is how do we add tools to their toolbox to use when they're having difficult conversations with employees, and also taking care of themselves so that way they can be online and ready to go and facing sometimes challenging days. So, but sorry about that. Um, Karen, are you able to put maybe in the chat the flyer?
I am trying as and stumbling as we go along. I don't
Okay,
know what's going
okay.
on with Zoom today, but I'll get there in a second. I have
Okay. Otherwise, it's in when they send out the newsletter from the county. It's in there, and you can click on that. It's $25, just 25 for all 3 classes for each participant. And that when you do the check, it says it on there, but the check actually gets mailed to Community Supports. We've opened up an account just for these trainings. And last year, and we're going to do it again this year, is if we have an employee who's able to come to all 3 trainings, then they're going to get a gift card at the end, just as um, to celebrate them that they were able to attend all 3. The success has been just very well received, and we've loved it. I think as trainers, we've really enjoyed getting to see everybody, and the feedback that we received has been very positive. I think people, the mid-level managers, have really appreciated those in the end 6 hours being all about them. So,
I think amazingly, we had about 50 DSPs that made it to all 3 sessions last year. Does that
mhm.
sound right, Cindy? Which was
It
more than
does.
half.
It does. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
thought that was amazing and a tribute to you guys making sure the managers had that time available to really
Mhm.
dedicate towards their growth. So thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Next on the agenda,
I'm
I
sorry. I'm
have
sorry. Could you give the dates for that one more time?
yeah, it's September 1st, October 6th, and November 3rd from 10 to 12. And I did, I believe, finally get the flyer and chat. Can somebody confirm that it's actually there? Okay, thank you. I don't know what's going on this morning. Um, Zoom was acting wonky. All right. Don, are you our Amber here and want to talk briefly about the Advocacy Summit?
I do, and I was frantically looking for flyers as well, so I'm gonna have to give you that later, but I will give you some information about it. We've had the Advocacy Summit, this is summit for 3 years. This is our third year, and we're celebrating this time using your voice to make a difference. I don't remember the name because it's on the flyer, but it's a wonderful opportunity for us to pull together, celebrate advocacy, um, share the John Romer Award winners this year. And we also have, because of the focus is on telling your story, we have the library there. They're going to have a booth where an audio booth where people can tell their story. And we have a Pen to Policy as well. So that's a group that helps people use their story for action. And as we all know, that's really important always, but particularly now. So contacting their elected officials. So I wanted to highlight that. We'll please, we're doing it. Let me see when the date is. It's on September 16th from 10:30 to 1 o'clock at the Hamilton County ESC, because the space is wonderful. We wanted to do it at that time because we wanted to make sure that it was open and welcome for day providers. So in the past, we've had them in the evenings and on the weekends, and so we wanted to see if we could have it accessible for people during the day. So please consider that if you're a day program provider, and of course, anybody that's supporting somebody. I'll put the link in to register. We do encourage an RSVP because there's food involved. A couple of other things, Karen, I want to mention. We have an upcoming watch party for a policy group. Let me look here. I'm having trouble with it's an Ohio Disability Policy Candidate Watch Party. It's Thursday, August 20th. It's from 10:30 to 4 at our News Central office. And again, this is an opportunity if you're a day program and would want to have people join us for this. We will have the Pen to Policy again for people having the opportunity to contact their elected officials. You can come for as much time as you have available, so you don't have to stay for the entire time. We'll have activities, and it really is, again, an opportunity. We were invited by the ARC of Ohio to participate. It's an opportunity to learn about the issues and also put pen to paper and communicate with our local legislators. Finally, there's one other event, and I'll put this, oh, thank you, Karen. We're also hosting an event at the Freedom Center, and we're hosting a screening of the documentary Lest We Forget. So if anybody's familiar with that, it's a reminder of why the Olmstead Act is very important. So why, we paying attention to the huge concerns around institutionalization. We're also hosting a panel there to talk about that. So it's a powerful film. I would really encourage you to join us there. We have we're sponsoring some entrance tickets as well, so to make it possible for people to go. So please consider that, for yourself and also for people you support and families. And I think that's it. Thanks, Karen. More than you asked for.
Love bonuses. All right. The other thing that we wanted to share an invitation for is our health fair that we have coming up. And Jamie, you can take the lead.
Hi. Okay. Well, in light of Dawn, just talking about our advocacy work, the Pursuit of Healthiness advocacy team is going to be hosting their first annual health fair, and that will be held in October. There will be written information coming out in literature here over the next month or so, but I wanted to ask providers attending today to just consider saving that date and promoting the event within your agencies. They put a lot of work into this. It will be held on October 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. again to give vocab programs and day programs the opportunity to participate. It will be at the Hamilton County ESC building, which, as Dawn mentioned, is a beautiful location. And it is open to anyone served by Hamilton County and their team members. So families, guardians, SSAs, and certainly their HBC agencies and their day programs. We'd love to see as many people come through as possible. They've done a great job of getting a really eclectic group of organizations and individuals there to provide health and wellness services and to share information with folks about what's out there. We have everything from physical health to nutrition, mental health, music, dance, safety, programs, social activities. So there's really a lot of opportunity to get information. On top of that, the event's designed to be interactive and fun. We really want people to enjoy themselves. There'll be the opportunity for folks to participate in live demonstrations. So we have providers that are going to demonstrate adaptive fitness classes, chair yoga, breathing techniques. We have a massage therapist coming who's going to provide many massages. We've got a couple dance programs coming through that will, I'm sure, be a hit. There's going to be door prizes awarded throughout the day. There's the opportunity to enter a raffle for larger prizes. Fresh popcorn and drinks, courtesy of Frank Center. Thank you, Frank Center. The Free Store Food Bank has agreed to participate, and they are going to have donations available for folks who come through. That and more. So again, we're just hoping that providers will keep this activity in mind and come out on the 20th and have a good time. So that's it. Oh, can I say one last thing? One thing I've been asked in the past when an activity's been during the day, I know the day programs out there, there's kind of lunchtime. There is space for folks to eat lunch. So if people don't let that prevent you from coming, if you have them grab their lunchbox and there's an entire inside area and outside area that's available for folks to eat lunch if that would prevent you from coming.
Thanks so much. Sounds like a lovely event.
I hope so.
All right. Before we move on, do we have any other invitations for the collective? All right, Jen, you're next to talk about new MSS.
My favorite topic. Well, Nancy's here with me also, so we might be tag teaming this. Good morning, everyone. Good to see all of your faces this morning. So I know we talked about it here before, but we are knee deep, as they say, in the transition to the state's new MS system, not to be confused with legacy MSS, such creative naming. It's been a lot of manual work for our funding specialists. So if you're working with any of them and they seem a little stressed, give them a little grace. They've been doing all their regular work and dual entry, starting to move people over. Just to give you an idea of where we are in our work, Nancy gave you some updated numbers this week. So we are moving right along. We've moved right around just over 2,100 some people into the new MSS system. We still have quite a number remaining, but give you an idea of why some of our holdup, it's definitely not, I mean, it is partly on our side in terms of the workload, but many of the features were not available up until now. Just very recently, what Nancy said, maybe we got like less than a month ago, they had the MRC, so those congregate sites we couldn't even start them until about, 3 weeks ago or so, Nancy? Has it been 3 weeks now, 4 weeks?
About 3, probably. It was into July. It wasn't at the very
I
beginning.
think so. I don't know. The time is flying by. So they just made that functionality available to us. There are many, many, many bugs in the system, I'll just say. So every week we're on calls hearing about things that are not working, their plans to get them fixed. So there are a number that we simply can't move because of that. So we just want to let you know that we're working on it. We also know that there's been some problems on the provider side. I'm going to go over a couple of things, and then Karen, I believe, is going to either post them or already did in the newsletter or both. I'm not sure, Karen, those resources that you had related to the new MSS. So the big message I want to share is to make sure that your provider agency has access to the new MSS. You have to request it. It's not automatically given to you. And please, when you go to do it, make sure you're being careful about what roles you choose. We've been getting a number of requests of providers trying to get county board access. You won't be getting that. So those requests you're requesting through the department, county board requests are only for county board users. So those instructions that Karen just shared are really good step-by-step on how to get into the new MSS system. There's also been a little bit of confusion. Some folks thought that billing would be moved into new MSS, and that's not the case. It's not changed billing. You're still billing in EMBS, but you will need access because once we move services over, you won't be able to see your pause for services that have been moved to new MSS if you're only in legacy MSS. And just a reminder, I know we've talked about this here, but regardless of when we move them, all services July 1, 2026 and beyond must be in the new MSS. So even if we don't get them moved till October, we have to go back, shut down everything in the old system, move the new ones over. So, and it's all a manual process. So again, our funding specialists have really been working hard. So those are the main ones I wanted to share. I do have a couple of other updates and rule things for you, but Nancy, do you want to speak about the most recent issue that a couple of our providers have experienced with billing and kind of how to handle that?
Yes, we've heard of a couple providers that are getting messages, one in particular about it's when they're trying to put billing in, it's not divisible by 0. Well, we just found out this morning what that means is you're trying to bill something still on old and the legacy MSS, but we've moved it to new MSS. So it has to be billed through there. If you're getting any, we had another one that was, they didn't see any money and it was something we didn't have set up right on our end, but we need to know those things. Don't just keep going if you're getting some kind of error. And as always, if you can send us a copy of your error report, not just for this switch to the new MSS, but anytime you're having a billing issue, it really helps us. We can pinpoint where we need to look to resolve your issues. But like Jen said, there's still a lot of glitches. There's still stuff that's not working right. So it kind of stops us. So just hang in there. We're getting there. And things don't work the same as they did in old MSS as far as data entry. Just let you know, it takes probably 3 to 4 times longer to put in schedules and put things on a calendar. And then when you have to adjust them, it's even worse. DOD knows that, and that is in the works down the road to get all that taken care of, but it's taking your funding person quite a bit of time, especially when you're using schedules and calendars. So hang in there, we'll get there.
Yep. So we're working on it is the main message there. If you do have questions about, is the person new? Are they an old? Contact your funding specialist for that case. If you know who's assigned, if you don't, reach out to Nancy. She'll either help you out or get you connected with the funding person who's doing that work. So we're working as hard as we can. Again, if you have billing problems, just emphasize what Nancy said. I can't emphasize this enough. Please don't wait till you're 6 months down the road and you haven't gotten paid. And sometimes when you wait too long, we can't help you. We can't fix it. So we don't want to get in that boat. Please reach out to us. And again, if you can send us that error code, it really helps us. Because remember, we can't see the system you see. So we're operating sort of blindly trying to help you. We want to help you, but if we can't see it and we don't know what your error code is, it can't be of much help. So that's really the MSS stuff I wanted to share. I guess I'm backing up. I should have started with this. I think most of you already know this, but if you don't, our illustrious Nancy Vistry is going to be retiring at the end of September, which makes us all very, very nervous. But I will be sharing an invitation if you want to come out to celebrate her. We are having a happy hour, if you will, with cookies, that kind of happy hour, at our office to celebrate her right before she leaves. I know Angie's got her crying emojis up there. It's how we all feel. So it's hard for me to believe, worked with Nancy forever, I feel like. But so we're excited for her next chapter, well-deserved retirement, and also want to let you know that we have hired, I won't say her replacement because you can't replace Nancy, it's not possible, but we've hired our new Medicaid Services Manager. She will be with us on the next meeting. Her name is Angie Lewis, not to be confused with Angie Lewis, who's on your screen right now, who works in the quality department. I'm calling her Angie Lewis 2.0. I need to stop that. She'll be known in our email system as Angela R. Lewis. Angie will be coming to us from Montgomery County, where she does a very similar role to what Nancy does and has a ton of experience. So we are excited to be welcoming her, and you'll get to meet her probably at the next meeting. So those were the big things on that end. I don't have a ton on the rule updates, just a couple of things. Karen, I'm happy to share our PowerPoint that we use with our staff. It'll have a few tweaks in it that are sort of SSA focused, but I don't think that'll hurt anyone to see it. But just a couple things to call your attention to so you're aware. And these are July 1 updates that went into effect. The biggest one I want to make sure you're aware of is that the requirements for SSAs and their in-person visits with people, particularly those on waiver, has increased. So most of it's in line with what we were already doing, but you may see a little bit more in terms of have to be visiting the residents at least twice a year. That's in person in the residence twice a year. And then for anyone receiving day services, they have to have one visit to the day program once a year. So I wanted to make sure to mention that today because I know we have a lot of day providers on here. And I know we have a lot of SSAs, and I realize it could be a little burdensome at times, but bear with us. We'll work with you as best we can to not interrupt your operations and your programming, but our SSAs are required to do that moving forward. So you'll be seeing probably more of their smiling faces coming out to visit you, which I think would be a great thing, but I know we have a lot of SSAs. If you have big programs, let us know if you do run into issues. We'll work with you through those, but be aware that they are doing so because they have to. I'm not seeing anything in chat. Couple other July 1 rule updates that went in. You will see, if you haven't already looked at those rules, that the NRI is now in rule. And as a reminder, the NRI is a new assessment tool that will eventually, I want to make sure I emphasize that, eventually replace the DDP and the AAI. Currently, they're running simultaneous. They're running at the same time. So we will still continue to do DDPs and AAIs until the NRI is fully implemented, which won't be at least until mid-year next year. What you should be seeing right now is NRI assessors from our agency. They do work out of our introduction and eligibility department. So they are not SSAs doing these. They are specific assessors that are trained to do these. They will be reaching out right now. They're working on what they're calling kind of at the state level, phase 2 or part 2. I don't know, they keep changing the name. So forgive me if I'm calling it the wrong thing, but it's this next phase of work. And it is working on assessments for everyone living in who receives a shared living service or who lives in a congregate setting. So that's the group they're working on now. As you can imagine, everyone, the ones we're working on this year, everyone on an IO waiver. The next year we'll get into others. It'll be everyone on a waiver eventually, but this year focused on the IO waivers. So we have a lot of those to do. They are very in-depth. They take a very long time. So just giving you a heads up that you could be expecting those calls. Please work with them, cooperate with them, help us get them scheduled if you're involved in that scheduling process. We appreciate your help. One other thing that was in the rule changes in July, we have not seen or heard much on this yet, but if we might, this is regarding remote support and potential billing changes. So the July 1 rule update allows, when there is remote support authorized, it allows for the HPC provider to, basically in the language, the rule is right to refuse. So if you have a scenario where we have remote support authorized, if you recall, many of you are involved, some of you aren't. The way the old rule read, the HPC provider was the provider of record for billing, and they had to then contract with the remote support provider. Well, now it's allowable to be flip-flopped. So if the HPC provider doesn't want to be the provider of record for that remote support service, the remote support provider can be authorized. Of course, they have to be certified. We have to know about that. We have to make the change to the ISP and the authorization. So if you are an HPC provider and you're currently billing for remote support and you'd like to get out of that business, get with your remote support provider, make sure they're in agreement, then reach out to us. The best way to do that is going to be to request an official provider revision request. Karen, can we post that in the chat today for them just as a reminder? Most people, I think, are aware of it, but that's the best way to get that process started. You can always, of course, call your SSA, but I always recommend the provider revision request because that is a formal notice to us and we track those. So we could go back and say, oh, yes, this provider did reach out to us on this date and here's where it was. So we have not gotten many, if any, that I'm aware of, requests to change that billing around, but it is out there as an option. So we anticipate likely we'll hear some at some point. And then the last thing I have is not really a rule update, but I feel like a broken record. So forgive me if you're tired of hearing me say this, but I've had a good number of pretty significant ones come up recently where a provider has provided more service than was authorized. And as a reminder, do not provide services outside of your authorization. Follow those schedules that are in place. You are putting yourself in jeopardy of not getting paid if you provide services outside of that authorization, beyond that authorization. Emergencies do occur. We get that. That's why we have our provider revision process in. You can cover that emergency and get with us right away about making a change, but never assume it's going to be approved unless it's an emergency situation. And for many of you, I know you're serving young adults or sometimes children. And what we're seeing a lot of most recently is where the provider is taking direction from the parent, and the parent has no idea or understanding of what's authorized, and they aren't the authorizer of the service. So just a word of caution, please. We don't want you to get in a situation where you've provided a service and paid your staff and you then can't get reimbursed. We really don't want you to be in that boat. So please make sure that your billing office and your program folks are connected and they understand what's authorized, and do not provide service outside of that. We have also had a good number of these recently where that occurred. We couldn't make any changes and the provider had to back out their billing and they lost revenue. I don't want to see that for anyone. So cautionary tale, and I know I say it a lot, so I'm sorry if you're tired of hearing it, but it just keeps occurring and it seems to have flared up here recently. So if you're not sure what's authorized, make sure you're going to your SSA, your funding specialist, your ISP you get a copy of has those schedules in there. You have a copy of all that. But any questions, reach out to us. Always, we would rather talk to you on the front end than trying to deal with a billing mess on the back end. And I don't want to see you get in those situations where you can't get paid, because I know you've paid your staff. So that's my soapbox for today, Karen. Sorry, I had to get that out there. We've had a good number of issues here recently. I saw a lot popping up in the chat. I know it looks like you were answering a lot of it, Karen. Is there anything outstanding that's still sitting there for us?
There is a specific situation, it sounds like, with Phil. Phil, are you able to put your email in there and Nancy can look into it and follow up maybe? Thank you.
Okay. Karen, you're muted.
No, like 5 years in, you'd think I get it right. So 6 years now? I don't know. Anyhow, there was a mid-July rule that came out for adult day support providers. I shared this directly with them. I just want to highlight that there's new requirements in role as it relates to fire safety, facility running, making sure medications are secured, et cetera, and then some additional training for DSPs around that. So you should have received that directly. It's also in the provider newsletter. Just make sure you are aware and update your training practices for your next upcoming compliance reviews. And then we had one other compliance update that Angie was going to share. Oh, also, I believe some new MedAdmin rules were just posted this week. So make sure for our MedAdmin rules. So make sure that's on your radar as well. We'll send out updates and implementation changes as we get them.
Okay, so good morning. As most of you may know, that starting August 1st, as part of DoDD's ongoing fraud focus, there is a new question to the compliance tool. And that question reads, does the service documentation validate claims for payment submitted to the department? So what that's doing is each of the reviewers that reviews your agency, or if you're an independent, what's going to happen is during that compliance review, the reviewer is going to validate a small random selection of 15-minute HPC claims paid during the last 3 months. So they're going to validate that and make sure that it's matching your documentation. And so this is a brand new process. It was sent to you all in the Monday memo on 6/29, but basically it's they're sending a sample. And right now, it's just for 15-minute HPC claims, so nothing else. It could expand, though. I think that's the goal. And so when a reviewer is reviewing you, they're going to have a small sample of the last 3 months and just make sure that it matches your documentation. So seems pretty straightforward. If they do find that it is not matching your documentation, that could result in repayment. So you just want to make sure that you're only billing for what you're documenting for, and that it's reflective of your documentation. So this is a brand new process. Some tweaks are being done. We've already had a few questions coming into DoDD. So as with every new process, I'm sure there'll be some things that change along the way, but currently this is just for billing of 15-minute units. That's all I have, really, Karen.
Awesome. Thanks, Angie. And Claire, great addition. They ask you to prepare for everyone that you support, not just people in the sample.
Claire actually had one yesterday, right out of the gate. 8-4, she was already looking at this. So we're learning as we go.
I did want to cover a few updates with our provider marketplace, which we use for provider referrals. We provided some feedback and they listened. Our provider community specifically provided some feedback. The first is in the letters that you receive, letting you know that you have pending referrals to respond to if you're interested or not interested. You should be seeing that they are specifying the county with which that referral comes from. So you will know a little bit more clearly where the referral originates and if it might be a good match. So I think that's a positive. The other change is when you responded, if you're interested, it used to be sorted alphabetically. Now it's sorted by the time with which a provider responds that they're interested. So I think that is also positive progress. So I wanted to share those two things. And then finally, Jenny, MUI updates and reminders.
Good morning, everyone. Just real quick. Again, I feel like a broken record, but just wanted to remind everybody a couple of things. We are not using Britco for incident reports. We have a few providers who are trying to send incident reports through Britco. We get them, but it doesn't look great. It doesn't have the right information, doesn't have contact information, doesn't have any of that. So please don't send them through Britco. Continue to send them, through to the MUIP at hamiltondDSohio.gov email, or you can fax them if that's easier. So please, just again, we're not in Britco, so don't use Britco. And then the other thing, and this is Robin Ryan asked me to remind everybody, please, please, please remember to send in those appendix forms. Those are required. We cannot move forward with any incident report if it doesn't have that appendix. So that's for your law enforcement, unanticipated hospitalizations, and your unapproved behavior support. We have to have the incident report and the appendix before we can actually file it. So I don't want, we don't want to get into a situation where we have late reporting because we don't have all of the documents that we need in order to be able to enter it. I think that's really all that I wanted to bring up this time. If anybody we're about 1 year in, new rule. So if you remember, new rule went into effect in July of 2025. So we are officially 1 year in. As expected, our numbers technically are down, but that's really primarily due to the revisions to the unanticipated hospitalization part of it. We've seen an explosion in emotional abuse and a lot of those other categories, particularly neglect. So we just kind of want to, again, it's just a reminder, make sure we're looking at those levels of supervision and that, it's something that the DSPs and staff can actually provide so that we're not setting people up for failure. So those are just kind of the highlights that I wanted to touch on today. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime.
All right. One other thing, we have been having issues with our provider page where information in the folders is breaking and are not showing up. So if you see that, please email provider support and we will get that fixed pretty quickly. We're trying to catch it, but we also don't want you to not be able to access things that you need. And then finally, it was so good to see so many faces shared on Zoom today. So thank you guys for those that showed what you're doing through your camera. We appreciate being there and the friendly faces. So thank you all for your time. Enjoy the beautiful day. If you guys need anything, always reach out. We'll stay on for a few minutes in case anyone has individual specific questions. Thank you.